Hey everyone, I'm on a mission to hit 10,000 subscribers, and I'd love your help to get there. If you're enjoying the content, hit that subscribe button and join the family.
There is a battle happening in Berea, Ohio right now, and it has nothing to do with who's starting at quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. It has everything to do with the truth. Because according to one of the most respected voices to ever wear the orange and brown, a Pro Bowl cornerback, a member of the legendary Dog Pound defense, the story you have been told about Shedeur Sanders this training camp is not just wrong, it is, in his own words, BS. And once you see the tape for yourself, you might start asking the same question he is asking. Why does the narrative not match what is actually happening on the practice field?
I think it's BS. I think it's BS that Shedeur simply can't do things pre-snap, can't get him in and out the huddle, can't start the ball, or can't get them to snap the ball, right? Here, I'm going to show you, I believe this was Monday. Shedeur changing the play at the line, making the right read, getting the ball out quickly. I mean, if that's a catch, that's a touchdown. We're having a different conversation, right?
Every NFL training camp produces a storyline. Sometimes it is about a breakout rookie. Sometimes it is about an aging veteran fighting for one more contract. In Cleveland this summer, the storyline has been the quarterback competition between second-year passer Shedeur Sanders and 9-year veteran Deshaun Watson. But underneath that competition, something else has been building. A gap between what reporters covering the team are saying about Sanders and what the people actually watching him throw the football every single day are seeing with their own eyes. That gap has a name attached to it now. Browns legend Hanford Dixon. And he is not whispering about it, he is saying it directly, on camera, without hesitation.
Out of coming from Berea, especially from a lot of the people, the sports writers and everybody saying that Shedeur is taking a step back a little bit.
To understand why this moment matters, you have to understand where Shedeur Sanders came from. He arrived in Cleveland as a second-year player after a college career at Colorado that turned him into one of the most talked-about quarterbacks in the country. Anyone who watched Colorado play Baylor during that stretch already knew this was a quarterback capable of moving in the pocket, extending plays, and delivering the ball down the field even while rolling away from pressure. That athletic ability was never really the question. The question, according to critics, was whether he could process information fast enough at the professional level, whether he could read defenses, whether he could get the football out of his hands in rhythm instead of holding on to it too long. Fast forward to this training camp, and those old criticisms have not disappeared. They have simply changed shape. Now the conversation from some Browns beat writers is about smaller, more technical issues. Reports of problems getting the offense to the line on time, trouble with play calling, suggestions that his cadence at the line of scrimmage is causing confusion up front. On the surface, these sound like legitimate concerns, but according to Hanford Dixon, they sound like something else entirely. A convenient way of shifting the criticism without actually engaging with how much Sanders has improved.
Dixon did not mince words. When asked directly about the chatter coming out of camp, he said the framing around Sanders amounts to one thing, a subtler way of saying the kid is not smart enough to play the position. And he pushed back on that idea hard, because in his eyes, a lot of the people pushing this narrative are the same people who would rather see Deshaun Watson under center than Sanders, regardless of what is actually happening on the field. So, the tape got pulled. Clip after clip from camp, several from the same week these criticisms were circulating. The first thing that jumps out is footage of Sanders changing the play at the line of scrimmage, making the correct read, and getting the football out on time. It is the exact opposite of what critics were describing. Instead of a quarterback who cannot process information before the snap, the film shows a player recognizing the defense and adjusting instantly. Then there is the accusation that has followed Sanders since college, that he holds on to the football too long, that he cannot see the field. Go back and count it out for yourself. Watch the receiver break off his route and watch how quickly the football is already in the air. In one clip, the ball is out before the receiver has even fully separated from his break. That is not a quarterback who does not know what he is looking at. That is anticipation, one of the hardest things to teach at the position. And then there is the pocket presence question. For years, one of the loudest criticisms of Sanders was that he drifts backward under pressure instead of stepping into throws. Watch camp footage from this summer, and that habit is nowhere to be found. He stands in against pressure, takes the hit, and delivers the football anyway. It's a small detail, but in football, small details are often the difference between a prospect and a starter.
But again, we skirt past it to go back to politics. How about Shedeur standing and delivering in a pocket? I ain't seen Shedeur drift this entire camp. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody wants to talk. Where is the drifting Shedeur? I see a Shedeur Sanders that is standing in the pocket. And there was another clip today that I was watching. Nobody tweeted it out. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. They've been weird about the clips.
The turning point in this story is not one single play, it is the pattern. Every box that critics said Sanders could not check, he has been checking, on tape, in front of the same reporters now raising new concerns. And the timing of those new concerns lines up almost perfectly with something else happening in Cleveland, a strong showing from Deshaun Watson. That timing is not lost on Dixon or on anyone paying close attention to the quarterback competition. The suggestion is not that Watson has been bad, it is that the coverage seems to shift the moment Watson has a good day, conveniently overlooking the fact that Watson is a 9-year veteran competing against a player in only his second professional season. Watson has had more time in professional football, more exposure to complex offensive systems, and by nearly every measure of experience should hold a clear advantage. Yet that advantage has not been separating him from Sanders on the practice field the way the surrounding narrative might suggest. There is also the matter of circumstance. Cleveland's offensive line this camp includes a rookie left tackle, and the team wanted a rookie center in the starting lineup as well. Add a new offensive system under new play calling, and false starts or procedural mistakes become almost inevitable. That is not unique to Shedeur Sanders. That is what happens across the league whenever a new scheme gets installed with young players up front. Framing that reality as a personal failure of the quarterback rather than a natural growing pain of roster construction is exactly the kind of distortion Dixon is calling out.
A few details from camp stand out once you start looking closely. Observers who have watched both quarterbacks side by side have pointed out a noticeable difference in how the football comes out of each passer's hand, with Sanders showing more velocity on his throws. There have also been direct comparisons of throwing style, describing Watson's passes as tighter spirals delivered with a more traditional look, while Sanders has leaned into more explosive downfield opportunities, the kind of aggressive playmaking that fits the vision head coach Kevin Stefanski and offensive coordinator Todd Monken have talked about wanting to build around. One specific play drew praise directly from Stefanski himself, a scramble that turned into an explosive gain up the sideline, the kind of play where a quarterback's instincts take over after the original design breaks down. Stefanski compared the situation to what teams have lived with for years with mobile, playmaking quarterbacks, even invoking the way Ben Roethlisberger used to escape pressure and still find a way to make a defense pay deep downfield. It is a significant comparison because it frames Sanders not as a liability when plays break down, but as a weapon. There is also a pattern worth noting in Sanders' history. This is not the first time doubts have followed him despite production. Even after a college season that included one of the most talked about performances in recent memory against Baylor, questions about his readiness persisted. Now, after a rookie season in which he was tied to the most wins on the roster and produced some of the offense's most explosive plays, the questioning has resumed in camp almost as if that production never happened.
This story matters because it goes beyond one training camp battle. It is about how narratives get built and who benefits from them. Dixon's argument is not that Sanders is above criticism. It is that the criticism being circulated does not match what is actually showing up on film, and that mismatch has consequences. Perception shapes opinion. Opinion shapes fan expectations, and in a league where quarterback competitions can be decided as much by outside pressure as by pure performance, a false or exaggerated narrative can quietly tilt the scales. There is also a broader point about fairness. Comparing a second-year player still learning the professional game to a 9-year veteran and expecting that veteran to somehow be losing ground is already a lopsided comparison. If anything, according to Dixon, the harder question deserves to be asked in the other direction.
Why hasn't more experience translated into a clearer separation on the field? That question rarely gets asked with the same intensity as the questions aimed at Sanders. For fans, this is a reminder to look past headlines and sound bites and go to the source, go to the tape, watch the throws, watch the footwork, watch the decision-making in real time, rather than accepting a second-hand description of what supposedly happened. In an era where hot takes travel faster than film breakdowns, that kind of due diligence matters more than ever.
Whatever happens when Cleveland's coaching staff finally names a starter, one thing has already become clear this camp. Shedeur Sanders has answered almost every question that was asked of him coming out of college. He is standing in the pocket. He is processing the defense before the snap. He is getting the football out on time. And according to the tape, according to teammates, and according to a Browns legend willing to say it publicly, that growth is real, even if not everyone covering the team wants to give it the credit it deserves. Reports predicting Sanders may not open the season as the starter, but could end up playing the most games at the position this year, only add another layer to a story that is still being written in real time. The Browns' quarterback competition is not just about who wins the job in August. It is about who the organization, the media, and the fans are willing to actually see clearly. And right now, thanks to voices like Hanford Dixon, more people are starting to look a little closer.
If you want to stay ahead of every twist in this Browns quarterback battle, make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on, because this story is far from over. Drop a comment below and let us know who you think should be starting under center in Cleveland this season. And if this breakdown opened your eyes to what is really happening on that practice field, give this video a like and share it with another Browns fan who needs to see the tape for themselves.